Can you hear me? First of all, I need to use the microphone. But if not, okay. Maybe this is better, I don't know. And now for something completely different. The Latin-Bulgarian electronic dictionary, but generally discussing our workflow concerned with digital lexicography and why we need it and what came out of this. At first, I have to say that all of this is developed in the framework of our national consortium, which is part of two European scholarly networks. As Irina mentioned, there is a lot of things that are going on international and European level concerning digital humanities and digital technologies, including these research infrastructures, Daria EU, which is for digital humanities and digital cultural heritage and things like that, arts and humanities in digital form, and Clarin, which is the European network for natural language processing, or computer linguistics as it was formerly known. And these two networks are in Bulgaria combined into the CLADA-BG consortium, which stands for Clarin and Daria in Bulgaria, which deals with both language technologies and digital humanities. And it has 15 partner institutions, among which universities, research institutes of the Academy of Sciences, museums, and libraries. The idea of these European networks, in which some of you are also member countries, and of which I hope that Georgia will also be a partner, and we can cooperate in the framework of Daria soon. The idea is to create networks which can collaborate, but which are locally, they're nationally financed. So we received our national financing from our Ministry of Education and Science. It's usually either the Education and Science Ministry or the Ministry of Culture, depends on the local specificities. And the good thing is there is international dissemination of what you do and your results, and the tools that you develop that may serve not only your purposes are going to speak, we are going to speak actually about Latin-Bulgarian dictionary, but this could also be applied to, I don't know, Georgian-German dictionary or whatever, provided that you use similar technologies, and that these technologies and these tools and these apps that are developed, that put on the marketplace. So this is the site of our national consortium. There is open science cloud called SHOC. They're very fond of abbreviatures. This is Social Science and Humanities Open Cloud, where you can post your apps or data or templates or workflows or site frontends and whatever that can be then, together with the documentation of how they are used, they can be applied to other projects as well. So this will be not so much a discussion of the Latin-Bulgarian dictionary in particular, although you will hear a lot of that also. But it is also a discussion of what you can do with your dictionaries that you have. You can retro-digitize them, and then you can put them into browsable and searchable and operational digital form. So we're starting with the Latin dictionary, which is currently in wide use in Bulgaria. It is used in schools, universities, and practically everywhere. This is the Latin dictionary that is used in Bulgaria by practically everyone. First edition, 1937. As you can see, it's not very up to date. Then the next editions are 1943, 1919, 1999 was the last update of this dictionary, which contains mainly classical authors from the school canon. When we talk about the school canon, we're talking about 19 and the first half of the 20th century canon, typical of the classical schools of the German type, which were spread more or less throughout Central and Eastern Europe, because we took our classical tradition from the German academia, as I suppose it also Georgia, in Russia, in Ukraine, and other places. So we're talking about a very particular set of authors here. It is not very accessible in the sense that it is out of print, and it is very hard to buy, it is very hard to purchase, usually from antiquaries at prices which are not that appropriate for a pupil or a student or somebody of limited resources. And of course it's obsolete in a lot of ways, including linguistically obsolete. We have here a language from 1930s at best, in cases with the orthography of words, with some obsolete meanings of words, and some words which are not currently in general use. So if we have, say, an 8th grader which starts learning Latin, probably it's not that accessible for them to use this. They try to use some random Latin translations from the internet, for example, Google Translate or something like that, because they cannot come by that easily with a paper dictionary, and you can guess that the results are not leave a lot to be desired. So we decided to start with the creation of a new electronic Latin-Bulgarian dictionary, which is of course open for everybody to use, on the basis of what we already have as this old dictionary, which is the canonical dictionary of Latin. So our workflow is first we scanned it, then the scanned images are OCR, they're processed in a way which leads to a machine-readable text. From image to text which can be exported in Word or HTML or something, which can then be processed by a computer. But as you can guess, when we OCR'd it, there were a lot of bad characters or confused characters or misreadings and misinterpretations by all the currently available OCR software is like that. You cannot have 100% accuracy, so we had to clean it up. And then we had to select a set of lemmas, because it's a long-term project. You can guess that we cannot do this in a year or two. So we had to decide where to start from, and Viara will talk more about this. And then the content of the dictionary has to be edited. And this is also the job of the scholarly team, of which my colleague Dr. Kalfina will speak. And then it is encoded in TI-XML. I will talk shortly about this. And then it is processed by a front-end tool, which puts it on display as a website for the end user to use. And I will showcase you the website at the end. At first, the scanning, the so-called retro-digitization dictionary. It's a pretty straightforward task, and the clearing also, but there is something that surprised us when we thought that our job was done. We corrected all the scanned images whenever we saw obvious mistakes in them, but then something else popped up. Some of the words, when you typed in the search field of the dictionary, were not findable, but they were there. So what was the problem? And then we guessed that there are some characters, because this is a bilingual dictionary, which at that uses 2 alphabets. It's not only bilingual, but it's bi-alphabetical, so to say, which is probably something that you can think about when digitizing, for example, Georgian dictionaries or something like that. But here we have 2 alphabets which are they have the same origin, so they're similar in some respects. And there are some characters in the one part of the dictionary, say the Latin lemmas, which were interpreted as being Cyrillic, but they should be Latin. And vice versa, there were some characters in the Cyrillic, the Bulgarian language part of the dictionary, which were interpreted as if they were Latin, but they were Cyrillic, and they're completely different Unicode sets. They're completely different Unicode characters. And you see an A or an A or an O or a T or a P or an R or something like that. And you say, okay, this is this set of characters, but that it's not obvious to the naked eye that here the OCR software made a switch. So we developed, one of our collaborators developed an app, which is freely available and also works as an app to be added to word processing tools such as Microsoft Word or Open Text Editor or things like that, which highlights this set of characters which look similar in Latin and Cyrillic scripts. And then you can go through. You see here a very simple Word document, and when you start this up, it highlights all the characters which may be problematic, and then you go through all of them and you correct them manually. We think of a way in which we can provide for automatic substitution, but it's still in the process of development. But this is still something that made us a great service and saved us a lot of time, at least spotting the places which might prove problematic. So this is one of the things which I need to put emphasis on concerning the scanning and OCR process, which is otherwise pretty routine. And this is the main thing that I want to point out about this. And then, after we had all the dictionaries scanned and corrected, and clear from any mistakes and misinterpretations of characters in the Latin and the Cyrillic part of the text, then we had to think how to start with the selection of lemmas to be encoded. And here, I give the word to my colleague, Dr. Kalfina.
Thank you. And first, allow me to say that it's a great pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you very much. And I'm happy that I have a chance to complain about the problems we face during our work to you, because that's my part of the presentation. First, as Dimitar said, we had to select a certain amount of lemmas to edit their definitions, and we had to choose between two options. First was to either to completely edit the definition in alphabetical order, which means that by the end of the year we would have the whole letter A, for instance, which is you would agree not very usable. So we decided to restrain ourselves to one textbook dictionary. As you see, Latinski язык начинающий, which means Latin language for beginners, and it's a really dictionary with no really precise definitions of lemmas, but it's usable at least for high school, which was our purpose until we elaborate the whole process of editing. So that was our decision. In order, as you may see, to have the instant usability in our long-term project. So by now we reached, which I think M. Mm-hmm. So I consider it quite a success, because otherwise we wouldn't have reached probably even C.
Yeah. For several years we'll have a fine dictionary providing that you search for letters for words starting only from A to C.
Yeah.
And now by the end of the year we will have at least 1,000 of most frequent words, at least according to the most commonly used textbooks, from A to Z. So it's a small selection, but it's complete. Mm-hmm. So it can be, even now it can be used. It's not like we're stuck with the letter for years.
And after overcoming that obstacle, we faced other issues. It's the process of editing. First, as you may see, that's that lemma, malu malu male. In Bulgarian, it said повече желая, предпочитам, which literally means I wish more, and prefer, of course. That's the main meaning, so to say. And then we had that strange example, malu virum quam pecuniam. That
you see, we have to say, sorry to interrupt you, that the highlighted parts are our editions, and the parts which are not highlighted is what the paper dictionary says. So you said, I prefer, and then the example, malu virum quam pecuniam.
And there was no translation, which is one of the biggest problems of our dictionary, because it somehow presupposes that everyone who uses it, at least to some extent, is familiar with the language, which is not the case, unfortunately, we all know that. So you just see the meaning prefer, and then that example, which doesn't make sense. Or at least we could literally translate it as I prefer the man to the wealth, to the money, or something of the sort. It sounded suspiciously precise, concrete, that example, so we checked for it, and it appeared that it's from Cicero, of course. Everything that is not from Caesar is usually from Cicero. And it says something completely different. Malu virum qui pecuniam eger quam pecuniam cred virum, which, as I suppose most of you are able to translate, it's rather, I prefer the man who lacks wealth, who lacks money, that money with no humanness in it. I mean, so it makes sense. But there was no reference here, and the quotation itself was a bit bogus, as we said. It was not incorrect, basically. So we had to first define the proper place, the author, then to give a reference which is clickable and searchable. It has been made, and then translate it so it would make sense to the person of young age, we suppose, who uses that dictionary. Then we have another example, which was just like that, no translation. We found the place, and we translated it into Bulgarian. The second meaning of the verb. It literally says разположен съм повече към някого. If I try to translate it literally into English, it says I'm well disposed towards someone, which in English, believe me, sounds a bit better than in Bulgarian. I mean, we doesn't use that sort of construction.
It's awkward.
It's awkward. Yeah, you would guess what it says, but it's not proper Bulgarian. It's like I changed the meaning to Bulgarospoložen съм към някого, which sounds probably really similar. It means I'm benevolent to someone, and liqui with dative, we added that too. So these were the main problems we faced during our work. Lack of agreement, for instance, you have an adjective. And then, for instance, bonds. Good. Yeah. And then you have several nouns. Virak, bellum, for instance. And if you are a grader, as Dimitar said, you are not supposed to be aware of the principle of agreement in Latin language. So you could always search for bonus bellum and find nothing, basically.
If you search for it in an electronic dictionary, you wouldn't know how to agree, so let's search the phrase. And we want the phrase to be also findable, not only the main element. So if you have bonus and aqua, if somebody who doesn't know how to necessarily doesn't know how to agree in Latin would search for bonus aqua and they will find nothing.
Yeah, of course, we didn't search for examples of such
yeah, bones here cannot be traced to only one author.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But when you have something like that, we thought it would be much better and of great use to give the proper place and translation. Yeah.
And also we added, this is something, you see that this small italic reference, dative case. This is because some of the dictionaries have the very, I think, bad habit of showing the erection of a verb or a preposition or something using obscure, as from the point of view of beginners, pronouns. Malo aliqui, okay, if you're a beginner, how do you know what case is this? And we think that we made it more usable in that way. And shall we proceed with the okay, so now the more technical part, the content of the dictionary thus enriched with translations and identifications of quotations and full renderings of all the phrases, etc., and all the quotations linked to digital libraries such as Perseus Digital Library or the Latin-Library.com whenever Perseus did not dispose of the respective text, then have to be encoded. And for the encoding, we didn't invent the wheel. We follow the guidelines, as you know, probably some of you know, I don't know, that the XML markup language, which is by far the preferable tool for encoding and presenting in digital form humanitarian objects, artifacts, text, etc. They have their own set of guidelines which can be applied to a lot of things, from ancient inscriptions to phonograms of contemporary radio plays and things like that. And they have a huge set of standards which are now divided into subsets for different purposes. For example, Epidoc is the de facto standard of describing ancient epigraphical and papyrological monuments in TI. And there is a working group that came up with the TI Lex 0 guidelines, which are the guidelines for encoding dictionaries and dictionary lemmas. For everything you have, okay, here you have some pictures from different workshops that made this possible, and then you have a documentation that tells you how to encode every part of the dictionary lemma. The lemma, the forms, the meanings, the explanations, the quotations that illustrate the meanings, the translations of the quotations, and everything. So we used that TLX 0 standard, and we applied it to our lexicographical data set. But this is not all. It is one thing to try to encode ancient monuments, for example, ancient inscriptions, which we also do at our department. They have to usually be considered one by one, and you have to very carefully select your options how to encode what. Actually, you make a new edition, similar to the editions that previous epigraphers made of the respective monument, but in digital form, but you make the same kind of choices. Is this reading correct? Should we also reflect all the previous readings from previous people who saw the document, etc., etc.? So you do it slowly, by hand, and one by one. It is not so with the dictionaries. Even in the smallest dictionary, you have literally hundreds of lemmas. You don't want to double in hand with each one of them, and they're relatively standardized. You have one and the same content, which holds true for all the lemmas, or at least all the lemmas of the same kind. All the lemmas of a noun look the same, all the lemmas of a verb look the same, all the lemmas of an adverb, conjunction, and everything else look the same. They're standardized. So what you need to have is a way to automate this, or at least semi-automate this, and do some bulk encoding before you go and correct the details by hand. So we wanted to start with something which takes as a basis the word doc, the doc type format of the encoded and corrected dictionary that we have, and to do something automatically from there. So at first we used this tool, which is called formerly Aux Garage, and now it is known as TI Garage, which takes your Word document and turns it into a very, very simple markup. What do we have in mind? For example, you have noticed that in a dictionary there is also the same standard for typewriting, for printing the different letters. For example, lemmas usually are in bold. The explanations to the lemmas say this goes with dative or this is a conjunction are in italic and things like that. So you can relatively easily jump from one format to the other. For example, cauda, caude, feminine, which means tail. You can turn it by using TI Garage. Cauda is bold. And this means something. But cauda is bold tells you something about the way it is seen, but not what it is. Why is cauda bold in the dictionary? Because this is the main form of the lemma. So then we developed another tool which turned this primary encoding that we reached to via Aux Garage to a proper TI-0 encoding. So another collaborator of ours developed this tool which builds up on the top of what Aux Garage does to your Word document, and it converts the simple markup into TI-0 markup, and you put your document here. But on this very simple page, it's very well explained how you do this. You choose your file. First you go to Aux Garage, you convert your file to simple TI, then the file converted into simple TI, you upload here, and then it is properly formatted. So from cauda, which is involved, you go to this much more complex but very semantic markup, which says that this is the lemma of the word and this is the orthographic form in which it is to be represented in the dictionary. So we have several steps which automatically produce a lot of lemmas which you can go and hand by hand clean them up relatively fast and relatively easy, and you end up with this, which I don't know how well it is seen, but this is a typical template of a dictionary, lemma of a bilingual dictionary. In our case, Latin is the source language and the target language to which you translate. The meanings and the sub-meanings and the examples is Bulgarian. And then these XML files, you have to put it into some sort of platform that can then spit it out on the other end as a proper electronic dictionary for the end user to be able to browse and search and so. This is the platform for which we used another platform of ours which we developed in order to be able to read XML files, but XML files which were of another type. XML files with the encodings of ancient Greek inscriptions found in Bulgaria. So this is what we use for our Telemon collection of Greek and Latin Greek inscriptions. from Bulgaria, which you can see on this web address. And when we developed our front-end service, which is called Ajax. Why Ajax? Because Ajax is the song which processes XML files. It has a CMS part, it has an admin panel with different levels of access. Some users which work in your project can edit the XML files, some can add or delete XML files, some can do everything, including changing the design, overall design of the site. And we have on our site several types of installations that you can use for desktop installation. You can download locally on your computer, and you can encode using our Telemon template. You can encode the description, you can see how it looks. Or you can have a server installation which you can use to put on a web server and create your own digital collection of things. So we took this, which we have developed for the purposes of another project. We have changed it, tweaked it here and there, and we have come up with the platform that processes TILX0 documents, which is now put on this is a demo server. It is not the final version of the site, but this is what it looks like. Sorry, but it's only in Bulgarian. There's no sense of making yes. We wouldn't be able to translate all the dictionary into English also, but you can guess the idea. We have different lists here, which are still not very complete. The future perspectives is creating a subsection concerning medical Latin in our dictionary, because this is by far the most used part of Latin in the framework of Bulgarian higher education. So a lot more people will be interested in using Latin for medical purposes than classical Latin for us. We have law Latin, or the law part, which is still to be developed, the juridical Latin section. We will have Christian and later taken the medieval Latin, etc., etc. Here we have some. This is the favorite part of mine. We have some Latin sentences which change every time that you refresh your site. Some phrases, some adagia, peculiar knowledge, very good, uti non uti, etc., etc. And then we have the list of, okay, here we have the last entries. Okay, let's go to this one. Here we have the entries, here we have the links to the references that we found. For example, for the word auctor, which is specimen, an example, divinus auctor Plato, and we find this here in Marco Cicero, the Optimum Genere Oratorum, and fortunately it is available online. You will be able to download the raw XML files and do with them whatever you like. You can see how they are encoded. You can use them as templates to encode your own. If there are some abbreviations here in the entry or the examples, you have I don't know if it works. Yeah, it does. Here you have a reference to the list of abbreviations. You see ablative, adverb, anatomical, botanical, version, which is for wish, which is see, vide, vm is for vmesto, which is instead of, etc., etc. Here are both the Latin and the Bulgarian. And here you have bibliography. If you don't necessarily want to go to this reference, or there is no reference, but you want to know what tzitz o means, here you have a list of bibliography, and here you have all the authors and works with their canonical, so to say, way of abbreviation, which is conform to authorities such as the Latin Oxford Dictionary. The thing is, if you try to search for something, for example, for a word which does not, okay, if you search for bonus, we have bonus. We should have bonus. If we don't have bonus, I don't know what we should have. Okay, it doesn't work for someone. Here it is also linked to the Lewis and Short dictionary, which is integrated into the Perseus digital library. So if you don't find something, for example, let's say we don't have it will say, okay, we don't have this, but check this out. And here in the autofill section, you have all the possible words that are present not only in our dictionary, but also in Lewis and Short. So here you can see a lot of suggestions that are wider than the lemmas that we currently have in the dictionary. So because Lewis and Short is also put into the Perseus digital library in the same format. It is in XML format, so we can easily integrate between the other dictionaries.
Just add something, because we are most of our teachers, what you see is the word is properly written, but we don't have the meaning yet. So, думать неправильно написано means that
this is what
it's not your mistake. It's ours.
If you mistype something, it tells you, oops, we don't have this. But if we don't have this, but the word is properly written, we say it. Okay, this is what you're searching for. We don't have it still, but check this one out. This might help you. And what else? We will have some search filters. For example, this part of the medical terminology, law terminology, Christian Latin pharmacology, botany or something. What part of speech is this? Is this a noun, adjective, verb, pronoun, etc.? And here we will have, if you say, for example, if this is an adjective, okay, we don't have it still, but we will have, okay, what type of adjective is this? Or if this is a verb, what conjugation of verb is this? Is it the first, second, third, or fourth conjugation? We will have sub-filters according to the main filter that you choose. And what else? I think, we have to some of the words, we have, I don't know, let's see, legio, maybe. We have some nice illustrations. Okay, we don't. Why we don't? It doesn't work for some reason. Some of the X should be one. Some of the words have illustrations to that. I don't know if I can show you now, but I'll probably be able to. So it is probably be able to show you. Okay, so we have these, of course, are all taken from the public domain. We make sure about this, and they usually illustrate the word that is explained. So more or less, this is it, and it's a project in development. So we have much more things to come, and our front-end service, as well as our XML files, we have encoded all the lemmas, together with the additional tools we have developed, are all at the disposal of other possible projects that would like to use the same workflow. So, thank you for your attention.